So I wanted to make a video on Matt Rhule and the Carolina Panthers offense, just because I find it very interesting. He's gotten a lot of credit so far, and I do like what he's done with this offense. I think it's really smart what he's done, and so let's just get into it. Basically, it's the kind of offense that no matter what defense you play, he has ways to answer it. Like for example, if you play man coverage, this is going to be a cover one hole concept. One safety deep, and then it's just man on man everywhere else. And once this ball is snapped, Bridgewater, he looks around, he doesn't see much open. But for Bridgewater, he is someone who he has ran the ball and scrambled just a lot more than I've seen him ever run. He never was a huge running quarterback. He never scrambled as much as he does. Now he's scrambling a lot more, and I think that's by design. I think Carolina wants him to run with the football. Watch how he is going to run over. This isn't a crazy athletic play or anything, just runs over and picks up 5 yards, but that's an element of this system. It really is having a quarterback who on man coverage will be willing to get outside the pocket and just try to gain 5 yards. And you know what? Those are good plays, especially if you're able to protect yourself like Bridgewater was on this play, because he, doesn't take a hit. There's no risk unless you just drop the football. You're going to not turn the ball over, and you still get a guaranteed 5 yards, which always helps. So unless it's, third down. So definitely that's a huge part of the system. It really is. Another thing they can do against man coverage is they just have players who can win against man coverage. Like on this play, what's going to happen is that, it's, again, exact same concept, but what they're going to do is that this time Carolina has a player running over the middle, and that's going to kind of take away, this is actually a slightly different concept because the player who's covering over the middle is a safety on this play instead of a linebacker, but very similar concept. And basically the player who is lined up closest to the offensive line, he's going to be running further deep, and that kind of takes away that first safety. Then another player can run over the middle. This is a good angle to beat this type of coverage. And again, as I said, Carolina has players who can win against man coverage. Like as you see once this play starts, you notice there is going to be a little bit of separation there. This is not a very difficult throw, especially because of the angle that Bridgewater is in, where, he can very much easily make this throw. He is going to make this throw, and they get a first down like that. They can beat man coverage, and in fact, they can beat man coverage pretty easily. Not only, obviously, there's the passing ways, but really the main thing is the running game. If you have 5 players who turn their back, or, in the running game, it'd be 4 players who turn their back away from the running back, that definitely helps your rushing game. And with Christian McCaffrey, who hasn't been playing these past few games, but typically you have him, and with him on the field, he's someone you have to pay extra attention to. So playing man coverage against this Carolina Panthers team, it's rarely going to work. You have to really pick your spots. You can't do it too frequently. But the problem is they can beat you in zone. Like on this play, what's going to happen is that it's going to be zone coverage, just a cover 6 play, so it's similar to a cover 3. The only difference is that the Chicago player who's closest to the bottom of the screen, he's kind of in charge of covering basically half the field, and then you have 2 players who are going to be running deep on the top of the screen, and then on the flip side, you also have some of the Chicago players are going to be in the middle of the field. They're kind of closer to the bottom of the screen. So, it's basically cover 3. It's the areas these guys are supposed to cover are slightly different, but it's relatively similar to cover 3. It's just cover 6. And for Carolina, they have a very similar concept to the one I showed you last time, where you have one player run deep through someone else's zone, which is going to take that Chicago player out of the way, probably. Then you have another player who can just sort of run a quick route that gets into that zone, and in theory, that zone is going to be open. And against zone coverage, these types of schemes can really work out, because, watch, once this play starts, you notice how, again, right there is an opening. A Chicago player realizes what's going on. He's trying to break in, and that's okay. Carolina is fine with Chicago at this point realizing it, because you already have that one-step head start, which is all you really need in football, especially at the NFL level. This isn't a throw that Bridgewater is going to miss very often. He's able to make it here, and they're able to pick up a first down right there. Good running after the catch. That doesn't always happen, but it does happen sometimes. And more importantly, that play was probably going for at least 6-7 yards anyways. So, when you're getting 6 to 12 yards on every passing play, that really works out, and that can really add up as long as you don't turn the ball over. And this Carolina Panthers team does do a pretty good job of not turning the ball over. So while zone seems like it's the perfect defense to play against this Panthers team, in a lot of ways it isn't. And in some ways, they can really game plan against you. Like something like this, it's going to be zone coverage. This is the Raiders. This is the first week where we kind of know the Raiders like to play a lot of zone. And for zone, what you can do is you kind of can just run a quick halfback screen pass where you have an offensive lineman run out, just block one Raider player, then you flip it to the back. It's not that you don't really have to do that much more. Like, watch. Once this play starts, Bridgewater, he's going to take a step back. He throws it. And again, just with that one block, they're able to gain a solid gain on that one. There's some good yards after the catch. Carolina has a lot of guys who can be good at yards after the catch. But more importantly, the real reason I'm bringing it up is because they can just do these plays that are just so easy, and they can gain 6, 7, 8 yards on every play, even if it's not even perfect. I mean, it takes really good defense to stop them, and that's kind of how they can be successful, even with what seems to be a lack of star power outside of Christian McCaffrey, of course. Bridgewater's a fine quarterback. He's not a superstar. A lot of their wide receivers aren't elite, and none of their wide receivers are elite, but they're all guys who can do their role. They're all guys who can, whether it's a setup route or whether it's the route to get the ball, they can do it very well, and that's kind of what Carolina built their team around, is just this. And I'm assuming that in this sort of rebuilding / retooling era, because, they're not totally rebuilding, they are a decent team, pretty good team, but, in this sort of situation that they're at, I'm assuming their offense is going to stay relatively the same, and they're really going to try and work on their defense. I would not be shocked at all if we see this offense, go out next year. Obviously, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but I do have one concern with this kind of offense. There is one key problem, and it'll be shown on this one. It's going to be zone coverage. This is the cover 4. And for Carolina, they have, again, another concept designed to beat this type of coverage. You have, wide receiver who's going to run deep. He's going to cut right before the Chicago player who is deep near there. You also have a back who's kind of running underneath, so that's going to take away the Chicago player who's in front of him. So there should be a window for Bridgewater to make this throw, and once this ball is snapped, there is. I mean, as you see, again, the Chicago player doing a pretty good job of reading this play, but like I've said in the past, you get that first step. Sometimes that's all you need. However, what's going to be interesting about this one is that Chicago's defensive back is going to be able to break in. He's able to knock this ball away, and it hangs up and gets intercepted. Now, this seems like it's largely luck, and it was a good play to get the deflection and then luck, right? That's kind of not really too much bad about the Carolina on this play, and I think I agree. I think that the two biggest takeaways in this were that, there was some luck involved and with the bounce, and also the fact that it was a great defensive play. The reason why I think there is some concern is that in the NFL, there's a lot of players who are capable of making that play. There's a lot of players who are capable of making good plays. And especially when you kind of have the team that sort of forces the opposing teams into zone coverage. Well, in zone coverage, you get more takeaways because you have, everyone in the secondary and all your linebackers looking at the quarterback as opposed to having their back turned, where they're less likely to be able to see a tipped ball and get the interception. So those are the concerns I have. I still like this offense, but again, I think it's fair to say, there is a concern here. Turnovers are probably going to happen on non-turnover worthy plays from here and there. Like a good defensive play and a little bit of luck and you'll get a turnover even if Carolina didn't do much wrong. I personally think the good outweighs the bad in this system, but it's fair to mention the bad. And I think that this Carolina team, they'll be really scary once they build a defense, and their defense has actually looked pretty good this year, better than I thought they would. So this is a team, they're young, they're growing, but I really like what this offense is doing. I like all the schemes. It makes a lot of sense to me. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on the Matt Rhule offense? Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.